Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review of Game of Thrones on HBO. This week you've seen the third episode of Season 6, which was called Oathbreaker. And another really good episode, I want to say. Really nice follow-up to, of course, what we were left with at the end of last week's episode with, spoilers in the title. I always put spoilers in the title, so people, there can't be that one person that makes a comment saying, oh, you spoiled, why didn't you say there are any spoilers? There's probably still going to be someone like that eventually, whether have it in the title or say it in the video or not. But of course, we've seen last week Jon Snow being resurrected by the Red Woman, Melisandre, which again, a lot of us figured was going to happen, but it is still nonetheless really satisfying to see finally a good character actually, get something good come his way, instead of them just being killed off and then that's it. I don't think this is going to be done anymore, though. I don't think we'll see any more major character resurrections. So I don't think it's really going to hurt maybe not the realism, but sort of maybe how real it is to its world. I don't think this is going to become an occasion where every character that dies now is probably going to be brought back or anything like that. But I just think Jon Snow is very key and essential to the long-term story for the rest of the series, so of course he'd have to be there. And the more I watch it, the more I'm still constantly struggling between my favorite characters. My favorite character is still probably Tyrion, but Jon's definitely making his way up there as well. So we see Jon, he gets up, he sits up. We see Davos sort of try to talk to him and sort of basically check out his mental state. Of course, he's also asked what he's seen on the other side. He didn't say he didn't really see anything, so it's a bit of a grim thought to think about. And Davos says he can do what he can. He can clean up as much as he can, and so on and so forth. And I sort of like Davos supporting him in that way. I didn't want to try and say any more lines because I'd probably just butcher it. But it's good to see Davos as sort of like a second to Jon now at this point, maybe. I think that's kind of cool. And then, of course, we have him walking out to the rest of the men of the Watch. They're all just speechless, pretty much. We see him, hug the wildling leader. Who makes a joke about it is Dick, after saying everyone thinks he's a god, but he doesn't think a god would have that small of a dick. Which is kind of funny. People are probably going to crucify me for not saying his name, because I don't always remember, I'm sorry. And, we didn't see Jon a lot of this episode, actually. We basically got that opening scene and then one towards the end. And, I kind of want to see more of Jon in this episode, but I'm sure we'll see plenty of him this season. We actually get to see Sam again, which is good. We see he's on a ship, and apparently he's actually taking Gilly and the baby, little Sam, to his home. It sounds like his father's a bit of a piece of work, but he says his his sister has a big heart and she'll look after him. And he wants to study and to become a Meister so he can help Jon, when the time comes, with the White Walkers and stuff. So I think we'll see, Jon and Sam reunite again at some point. How soon, I'm not sure whatsoever. I do hope they're able to see each other again, though. We also get a little bit of Bran in this episode. He more training with the Three-Eyed Raven. He sees more visions of Ned. We see Ned, sort of again being more arrogant and brash in his young age. We see the story he had told about of taking on this greatest swordsman he ever saw, and it turned out that a buddy of his just ended up killing the guy from behind. So it really makes you think about Ned's development from where we met him in the show to what he was beforehand. It makes you think about what changed him into the more honorable person we've seen in season 1. So it's good to see that. And the really interesting thing about it was Bran actually calling out for him, father, and it seems like Ned in the past actually heard it. Which is going to be some interesting and likely dangerous power that Bran could have there. I don't really know what to make of it, but it's really gonna really entering the tide for sure with whatever Brandon is able to do in the long-term, story, against the threat that we're all going to be facing. We get some Daenerys, she's being brought to this Dothraki city, and, she keeps on trying to use Khal Drogo's name to, get her some more credit, or some more leeway or respect, basically. And, she's basically told that, yes, Khal Drogo is honorable, it's honorable that you were his wife, but when he died, he should have went with us instead of, traveling, which is forbidden. So now she has to apparently endure some form of punishment, maybe. She's stripped and, she's forced to put these other clothes on. The Daenerys stuff is fine, but I kind of feel like it's filler right now. I feel like it's going to be filler until we see her, cross the sea and, help with the White Walker stuff. I don't know, I just feel like the stuff's not really interesting with her right now. It's just kind of, buying time until she actually gets involved with, the final main part of the show or something. But, it is what it is, and it's alright. It's good to see the tie back to the Dothraki and stuff. We see Varys, as he's maneuvering, trying to find out, trying to find a way to figure out who's leading the Sons of Harpy. He ends up talking to one of the conspirators, who tried to have the Queen killed, or helped try to have the Queen killed. And, he basically gives her a chance, he's going to give her and her son so much silver and send them on their way if they, give them some information. And we basically find out there's a couple other certain rich cities are actually funding them, or actually, trying to make them something there, for their benefit. We also got a little bit more of a lighter scene with Tyrion trying to make conversation with Grey Worm, and the other girl. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. People killed me for it in an episode where I forgot names before. But it was kind of funny because they're two of the most quiet or stoic people on the show, or at least some of them anyway. So it's kind of funny seeing Tyrion trying to be social. And he tried to play games, and that didn't really work out too well at first. She thought he was trying to accept something sexual, which is kind of awkward. We also had Tom confronting the High Sparrow, of course, acting really bent on getting to either see Marjorie or pay back for what he did to Cersei. And High Sparrow, it seems like, almost gets him to understand the way they have to go about things with her, whether he wants to or not. I still wouldn't mind if they just sent Sword Gregor in to kill them, which they talk about, but they have the point that High Sparrow does have a lot of men, even with Sir Gregor. He'd probably be brought down eventually by all of them. But still, I feel like we're just going to see some kind of slaughter scene at some point, right? And we get more of the Arya stuff this week, which I actually didn't have high expectations for, because it feels like sort of what the Daenerys stuff sort of feels like now, sort of filler until we get to the next major point of it. But Arya, the thing developed a little bit more than I thought it was going to. With more of her training, we actually had an interesting, sequence of her being asked about various people on her list. The Hound is even brought up. She says he's dead. She left him to die, and the girl eventually talks about how he wasn't on your list anymore. You took him off. Why is that? And she says the girl is confused. And it's really talking about sort of the Hound and Arya's complex relationship. I think Arya did really end up caring about him in a certain sense, at least, and so I kind of like that being addressed a little bit. And then we actually had Arya besting her, actually getting the advantage over her when they were sparring with the sticks and stuff, which I thought was really cool. And of course, the faceless one, has her drink. For someone who is no one isn't gonna have any fear, so she drinks, and then she actually gets her sight back. So they didn't really stretch that out as much as I thought they were going to, but it was getting to that point. Well, that part was really good, and it's why I used it in the thumbnail too. But really, I probably would have used a picture of Jon Snow in the thumbnail or something. But again, there's gonna be that person that comes on and says, "Oh, spoiler!" So I'm gonna wait a little bit longer to use Jon Snow in the thumbnail if I can, for your guys' sake. But at some point, he's one of the main characters, so I'm going to have to put him in the thumbnail at some point soon, I'm sure. But we also had some interesting stuff with Ramsay. He's approached and asked to help against the wildlings, who they feel are going to be inevitably coming south. And it's by someone who is, who never agreed to be aligned with Roose Bolton, father who of course was killed, and the guy sort of sees right through it. The guy who was killed, but yeah, of course, the Ramsay killing Roose in the previous episode. And the guy sort of sees through it. He knows that Ramsay probably killed his father, and Ramsay doesn't know he is poisoned by our enemies. And Ramsay is basically told about Jon and how he has more skill and knowledge on how to get to them, so it wouldn't be just the wildlings they'd be dealing with, so he needed the extra help. And then Ramsay has actually brought Rickon Stark and the wildling girl he was with. Again, I can't remember all the names, I'm sorry. And of course Ramsay has plans for the girl, like wild as he says, whatever. And of course, he likes having a Stark again. But this is just really going to give Jon more reason to eventually kill him, which I'm kind of looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing that battle. I think that's what we're going to be getting towards the end of the season, at least. We can finally see Ramsay get bested and killed by Jon, hopefully. So that's going to be pretty satisfying. I'm looking forward to it. And then the final scene we get, Jon, of course, hangs Alliser Thorne, Ollie, and the others who had a huge hand in the murder. You sort of ask all of them for final words. Alliser, of course, doesn't back down. He holds to what he decided to do, and he wouldn't change a thing. And Ollie, Ollie's a character I think we all kind of wanted at this point, ever since he killed Ygritte. But Jon hangs him. But what was actually surprising about what happened afterward is that he actually takes off his cloak and he says, "My watch has ended." He basically hands it over to his friend and he leaves, which is something a lot of us did sort of expect to happen. Actually, he expected that he wouldn't really share any commitment to the watch after his brothers had betrayed him, but still kind of different to see, I think. So it really left on an interesting note. So yeah, those were my thoughts on the episode. Overall, another good one. I'm actually enjoying this one more than I did season 5 so far, I think, but we'll see where it goes. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the episode. Of course, if there's anything I didn't talk about, which I'm sure there was, you guys want to comment below. I'd love to talk about more with you guys. Because we also had the stuff with the little birds and Cersei's doctor trying to send them around and stuff, which I just explained horribly. Maybe that's why I don't talk about anything else. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video for what it was. You can add me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and look for unspoiledlit.com. Peace.